All right, so the NVIDIA stock is now on fire. And when we take a look at NVIDIA right now, it's continuing to break the $500 price level. Now, let's say, don't get ahead of yourself too quick. A lot of people say that, hey, just because I'm making a video on it, this is the time to buy and the opportunity to buy. You got to determine that based on your risk tolerance, your risk levels, your investment plans, contact your financial advisor, all that good stuff. However, I will say that from my perspective, did I get into the stock a little bit? Yeah, I did. I like this $500 break because it's a nice solid clean break. And what I mean by that is that when we look at the previous breaks, which it has been above the $500 price level, when we look at the previous breaks, this break is much more solid. It's much more significant. It's much more stronger. It's got more energy. It's got more volume. And when you have those kinds of things, you should see follow through. Now, it doesn't mean you will see follow through. It says you should. So some of the issues you see is after a break, it might come back and then it could break back down. However, if it comes back and bounces, that's an even stronger sign. So I think right now it's a nice nibbling opportunity. You could go in and do something a little bit stronger. Otherwise, if you don't know how to nibble, it's basically instead of getting 100 shares, you would go with maybe 10 shares. So maybe 10 shares here. If it keeps going up, 10 shares right there. Or if you see it moving, then you could say, hey, I'll go with 90 and then you're in your full position. But the first day is a little bit risky. But when you have more volume coming in, you have good price action, good behavior, that's usually a very healthy and good sign to move forward. So I will say there is some massive buying coming in right now into the stock. Now, looking at some of the other movers right now, AMD, Intel, I mean, all of these stocks are powering higher. I mean, look at AMD also up $6-7. Intel also $1.50, 3%. I mean, Avago, Broadcom, that's a little bit more expensive. Qualcomm, $138, up another dollar. So when you start looking at some of these stocks, they are moving really well. And I like what's happening here with NVIDIA. So my point here is that when we had this move, big up move right here, normally you do want to see sideways action like this. This is a good, healthy move. If you don't see sideways action, then it can be a problem because you get some stretched movements. And then what you'll see is a nasty move event like Boeing here. And then you get kind of this pullback. Now that could also be a buying opportunity as well. But my point is when you see those movements that are very stretched, you could get a nasty pullback. And when you see a sideways action, this is actually good news and healthy for the stock and company. So my point is that when you see these moves now breaking out a little bit later, because this digestion and sideways move was about almost 5 months. After some 5 months worth of sideways action, a break like this is very healthy, very clean, and it's a nice opportunity to get in. Of course, am I cautious about it? Yeah, absolutely. One day doesn't make a trend. If I see a follow through, I would continue to add. That's just me personally. You got to make your own decisions. Don't follow anyone blindly, including myself. Do your own homework, do your own due diligence. But I like this clean cut break, and it's moving past the $500 price level, which is significant. Also psychologically, people are like, oh, it's 500. Now it's above 500 and it's moving higher, because we have the supermarket mentality when it comes to stocks, like, oh, it's lower and we should buy it because it's a good value. But in the stock market, sometimes lower could continue to go down much lower, and higher could continue to go way higher. So if you ever caught yourself doing those kinds of things, yeah, be careful, because the stock market is not a supermarket. Anyways, with that being said, I mean, stock looks good, looks healthy, truly looks nice from this perspective. But of course, a second and third day, we'll see how the market behaves and reacts. But over here, this one looks good, along with like AMD also powering higher, Intel as well moving fairly nicely. Even Apple starting to push a little bit after some support here. We'll see, because you can see what happens if the stock gets a little stretched. Then you'll see some nasty selling coming in, and we got a little pullback. So it's possible we can get a little pop. May not be anything extreme, but that's my take on some of these. Anyways, thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the videos. Remember to check out the website, criticalcharts.com, grab some freebies, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.